was a good friend of mine.
You will be visited by 3 spirits.
What? Was that the chance of hope that you mentioned, Richard?
It was.
Oh, in that case, never mind. I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first when the bell tolls 1.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the final episode of the Christmas month and the final episode of 2022. When we last left you, we talked about, we had a little double feature for you, and you're welcome, or you can give us the finger because they're both horrible films, which is Bloody Christmas. Was it Christmas, Bloody Christmas? And what was the other one we did?
Christmas Evil.
Christmas Evil. Yeah, see, I don't even remember them. That's how bad they were.
That's how good they were? Yeah.
Well, they're all about one, the second act, but I wouldn't still give it the finger.
I quite like the sort of strangeness of Christmas Evil in parts.
Oh my God, we need...
I mean, generally it was a damp squid, but it had some good ideas.
Yeah, I hate those stupid damp squid movies. Yes, guys, this is our final episode going to the new year, and then we're going to take a little breather just for a few weeks, just to, get all of our bearings straight and maybe take a break from Trevor, which is always a gift. You're
Thanks.
welcome. So, we're going to talk about a Christmas classic, which would be A Christmas Carol, what was originally called Scrooge, then was Christmas Carol. Same thing with it's black and white, and then it was color again, and then it's black and white, and blah, blah, blah. But we are talking the 1951 Alistair Sim's take on Scrooge. They did a couple short films on Charles Dickens, if I'm not mistaken, back in the 30s. They did A Christmas Carol. It was like an hour long. But this, if I'm not mistaken, is the first feature-length feature film. Now, we had a series of different takes on A Christmas Carol. The idea, the concept was still there with a movie called, pretty much a masterpiece in my book, It's a Wonderful Life. So I believe this is the first take. I could be wrong. I'm usually not because I'm a nerd when it comes to my films. But, Trevor, are you pretty up to par with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was, as you mentioned, just to really back up what you're saying, I think there were, previous versions of it, but I think this is the sort of, the first sort of big production of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, first feature length, so I guess we're on the same page.
Yeah.
We talked about the idea and the influence of A Christmas Carol and how it's been done to death, not necessarily the actual copy and paste of the book, but, little nods to it, or the concept and the idea is the same. Like I mentioned, It's a Wonderful Life, Scrooged with Bill Murray, which is my personal favorite. Then you had a musical version with Albert Finney in 1971, I believe, which is quite good, actually. And then my personal Scrooge, as in performance of Scrooge, is probably going to be George C. Scott. Now, the reason I like him in it, because the guy looks like a fucking Scrooge.
Yeah. I mean, I love George C. Scott. He was amazing, and he's sort of pretty much perfect for the role.
Yeah, exactly. He's pretty much built for the role. But let's just jump into this one. All right, we got Alistair Sims. He plays the good old Ebenezer. I have to say, Ebenezer Scrooge, whoever named their child Ebenezer Scrooge should not be parenting.
Apparently, Dickens got the name from a gravestone that he saw, which he read wrong. It was the name was Ebenezer something or other that sounded like Scrooge but wasn't quite Scrooge.
Either way, even if it sounds like Scrooge, I don't know. Their parents Scrooged him.
It's very much a Victorian name,
Yeah, I don't care. It's a horrible name. I don't care what year it came out and what era. All right, so we got Ebenezer, Mr. Jorkin, Miss Dilber, Bob Cratchit, Jacob Marley, all the ghosts of present, past, and of things of yet to come, which I've never heard of before. It's always the future to me, but I kind of like that, of things have yet to come. So let's start off with why he's a douche. Why is Scrooge a douche?
Because he believes that, he's damaged basically from a young man, after, things like his mother dies and stuff, and, in childbirth, which apparently, and I haven't read the original in a long, long time, but apparently that's not in the original book. But he's basically a damaged man. He becomes damaged, and to me, it's such classic storytelling in that I believe at heart Scrooge is a good man and has always been a good man, but the world had made him very cynical and misanthropic and protective of himself. So it was like basically the world turned him into a bastard. Now that doesn't excuse his actions, but it sort of more explains him in a way.
Did you notice the opening sequence when you're kind of introduced to his nephew? And his nephew's full of energy and life. It's Christmas time, yada yada. He comes into Scrooge's house, but office, and kind of has fun with him because he knows he's anti-Christmas, but he's still kind of tongue in cheek with him. And he leaves. But do you notice Scrooge's actions aren't as diabolical, I guess you could say, toward his nephew? Probably because it's his nephew in general. But he pauses there. Even though he's ruffling his feathers a bit, it looks like there's a small sign, and this could be the performance by Alistair Sim, but it shows that there's something there that wants to come out.
There's a good man bursting to get out.
Yeah, exactly. I noticed that for the first time watching this. I catch things like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks, Trevor.
Yes, no, all good, and. He does, although he does have a certain resentment in this version of his nephew, in that he had a certain resentment towards his sister because his mother, who he was very close to, died in childbirth, giving birth to her.
Yeah, but doesn't the sister die? No, she dies. She dies of something different, right?
Yes.
Okay, was confused there for a second. But. What works for this tale, it's an hour and a half, this version, and the first 10 minutes, they pretty much establish that he's a dick, which is cool. I mean, that's, just get it out of the way. We know, he's a douche, with that little glimpse of something wants to come out.
Humanity.
Exactly. So he gets his first, now this is where I got confused here. His whole life was built around, he really got more of a miser, I guess you can say, when he started working with, what's his name, Jobkin or something like that, isn't it? I could be wrong. And Jacob Marley. Jacob Marley was his business partner since day one, and he kind of took over the business this other dude had. And there's other...
Played by Michael Horden.
I don't know who that is. But thank you. Was he in Doctor Who? Should we get that out of the way now, or...
No, he was in he's been like... this has an amazing cast of sort of old British veteran actors, like Michael Horden. Harry Jakes is in there. And I have to say, as young Scrooge, the great George Cole.
You didn't... Wow, I'm surprised you didn't mention the young Marley.
Yes, well...
Patrick McNee.
Yes, exactly, from the Avengers.
Well, I know him from View to Kill, James Bond. Okay, so Jacob shows up first. He's like, ooh, I'm Jacob. Okay. And he's got all these heavy weights he's carrying and stuff. Is he in purgatory because of the way he treated people, like Scrooge did?
My take on it is he's actually in hell.
Okay, so he's in hell. Because I think...
And his chains are sort of represent... because you know the way he shows that vision to Scrooge, where there's people like him, the greedy types, and it's their chains of sort of greed that have dragged them down into this... not so much hell in the classic sort of biblical sense or mythological sense, but more in the sense of a personal hell.
So, but he's talking to him about this, like, dude, you got a couple people coming, and be good, and this has to work, because then if you're not, I'm fucked. So I was
Yeah.
under the impression he was in some kind of purgatory, and if Scrooge becomes this happy-go-lucky guy again, he gets those chains removed.
Well, that's a totally viable take on it. Where my take was it was more of a warning to Scrooge, where don't end up like me type thing.
Okay. I guess you can see it from both angles.
Yeah.
Now, he shows him, he tells him to look up the window. And you see a mother and a baby, and she's holding the baby in the cold. Very sad, actually.
Yes.
Then you got all these fucking people dancing around her. They're ghosts or something. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, it's a bit of a sort of mad one. It's like the sort of, I'm assuming it's connected to the ghosts that are, of these sort of greedy types that Marley was, who are basically, I don't know, taunting her or whatever.
You know what I really like about this scene? And it works completely. I love those old Victorian beds. And
Yes.
the ones that you have the drapes you close the drapes all the way around the bed. That'd be so fucking cool to put like a gaming system in there. No, seriously.
Well, it wouldn't be Victorian anymore.
Well, yeah, but you still have the bed, and then you got a
steampunk.
TV in front of you, and you got the blinds, Not only for warmth factor as well. I don't know why they don't still do those.
Yeah. I must say, returning back to sort of, well, it's actually connected to what you're saying about Victorian times, and the poor mother, outside the window and stuff. I mean, as with a lot of, if not all of Dickens' writings, it was, the Victorian era was very tough times for the working classes in England, Great Britain and further afield, of course. And Dickens' work very much reflected that.
So did he have a TV in the bed then, or what happened?
Well, I'm sure he wasn't short of a bob or two, you know what I mean? But let's just say a lot, basically, I would say the bulk of his writing was essentially about the plight of the working classes in the workhouses and, on the streets and the poverty and all that sort of thing.
I know.
Back in the days of chimney sweeps
I know,
and,
I was just...
urchins.
I was just trying to crack a joke there, but it didn't.
Yeah,
no,
it's
that's right.
okay.
It fell flat. Don't worry about it. It is just, my good materials is wasted here. All right, so the past shows up, and you meet his sister for the first time, and he pretty much raised himself. Well, was raised in a boarding school. It looks like, and he doesn't want to go home because him and his father's a douche, and the sister tells him he should come home anyway. So he kind of right there. He had pretty much a isolated childhood, I guess you could say. Which is one of the, and the mother died giving birth to him, and the father blames him. Is that correct?
Yeah. What? It's did the mother not die giving birth to the sister, and he blamed the sister?
But why is the sister getting along okay with the father, but he isn't?
No, I think you're right there. Yeah, sorry, there was a bit of confusion there because I know there's stuff that's added to this version as opposed to in the original.
Yeah.
I think you're right there.
Okay. You were introduced to Mr. Fezziwig.
Yes,
Fezziwig.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a drink.
I know.
So Fezziwig, he's a good guy.
Yes.
And they end up fucking this guy over, Fezziwig. They end up buying his business for pittance. Marley and Scrooge. Even though Fezziwig has always had their back since when they were younger, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And also Scrooge at this point, the young Scrooge, he was still, before they sort of do Fezziwig over, he was still pretty much a good guy, and he had a love interest as well.
What, was Scrooge?
Yeah, as a young man. Remember when he's in the barn, they're doing the dancing and stuff? It's like the pub.
Fezziwig was what?
No, Scrooge has a love interest.
With Fezziwig?
No! With his lady friend.
Oh.
Who he's dancing with.
Yes, yeah. But I thought we're talking about Fezziwig and you're talking about him.
No,
he has a
that
love
type of
interest
film.
with him. Like, what? Is there a director's cut?
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
It's on the DVD
Yeah, I can
extras.
see that now. David Cronenberg taking this over. Sick.
Yeah, body horror.
Sick bastard. All right, so then we cut to, he's got, we see that, and we see the sister dying.
Yes.
Now he says to her, well, I don't. He says it, but Scrooge says it. The now Scrooge, not the past Scrooge.
Yes.
He says, I'm sorry, I couldn't be there. I'm sorry. But he was in that room when she died, right?
Yeah.
Why is he apologizing to her?
No, was it not the older Scrooge saying that as a sort of vision?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The older, that's right. Do you listen to what I'm saying?
Yes.
The future, the now Scrooge.
Yeah.
We'll say Ghost Scrooge for now. The Ghost Scrooge is in the room while looking at his dying sister.
Yes.
But he was in that room when she was... Why is he apologizing?
Because I think what he's saying there is, I'm sorry I wasn't there enough. You know, he basically, he was concentrating more on himself and his business.
No, I got it. Sorry. I do got it. Sorry. I'm interrupting you because I'm right.
Go ahead.
All over the place. He does it because she says on the deathbed, I just remember this, take care of my nephew. And he never really did.
Yes.
Is that, I think...
But that's another take on it. Again, it's clever writing and, screenwriting, and that it's not spelled out, like so many films these days are. It can be taken as either meaning that he wasn't there enough for the nephew, or that he wasn't there enough for her whenever she was alive.
And then he takes him to Alice. Alice leaves him.
Yes.
That's his yum time.
Yes.
And she says, you're a douche. You become a fucking asshole. I don't want anything to do with you, you fucking cocksucker.
Yeah, well, that's the X-rated version again. That's the Cronenberg version again you're talking about.
That's Ciaran's version. Because of what he pretty much did with Fezziwig. She says, I can't live with somebody like you anymore.
There's a brilliant shot where basically Fezziwig is basically packing up his stuff because they've taken over, and Scrooge and Marley, and he sort of looks up. Scrooge looks up and he sees Fezziwig, and he realizes basically what he's become. It's subtle, but it's brilliantly done.
That's what I'm saying in the beginning when I caught his little glimpse with his nephew was there, like this little glimpse that wants out, and that's kind of the same thing. Each scene seems to pepper in something that he's screaming to get out of this shell that he's in.
And brilliantly played by Sim.
Yes, it was very good in this. I kind of like him. I noticed. You know what? He would have made a perfect Sith Lord.
Like the Emperor. Yep.
I can see it now. That'd be pretty good.
Well, again, you're talking earlier on about these sort of arcs of and sort of the influence of A Christmas Carol, Scrooge and stuff. I mean, this is a bit of a leap here, but technically over the original Star Wars trilogy, Darth Vader has a similar redemption arc to Scrooge.
Is he?
Serious?
Oh yeah, he sees the good in everybody.
He goes from good to bad to back to good.
Yeah, but that's stretching it, I think.
I suppose it is a classic sort of storytelling trope, but yeah, I mean,
I guess. Yeah. Well, it is Lucas. He's still from everybody, so
yeah, Seven Samurai and all sorts.
Yeah.
Dune,
especially Dune. So he goes to he goes to see Jacob Marley when it was his death.
Yes. But he doesn't give a shit about Marley.
Yes, at the time.
Yeah.
And yes, right. There was a real creepy line where somebody walks up to Scrooge and he goes, "Is he dead yet?" And he's like, "What? I am the Undertaker." I was like, "Fuck."
The Undertaker's pretty
That's
creepy.
always a good sign.
Yeah.
The Undertaker comes to your bedroom.
Well, I think there's another line by either that or the woman who owns the house. I believe it's possibly Marty's wife or housekeeper. Say something. It's basically the gist of, not a good sign when the Undertaker arrives early before he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be. Well, it's kind of like the Grim Reaper, I guess. Mm-hmm. Now we're at the Ghost of Present. So we saw Marley's death, his mom died at birth, giving birth. He's in school, kind of by himself. Doesn't get along with his father. He is in a business with Marley, and they kind of phase out fizzy drink, whatever his name is again.
Fizzy drink, I like that.
They phase him out, and could give two shits about his friend's passing. These are kind of things we've been shown. Now we're in present. What's the Santa Claus? Is this like big Santa Claus guy? It seems like in all the tellings of us, Christmas Carol, the present guy seems to be the funnest.
Yeah. Don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm right. I could be wrong. I don't know. There's so many fucking takes of this movie.
Although the Ghost of Christmas Past in this version seems to be the most spiritual and kindest or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. Or angelic.
So, in this one, he kind of sees the people he's affected and the outcome of how they handle Christmas with his yearly goings-ons. And
the Marleys, not the Marleys, the Cratchits.
The Cratchits and so forth. And when you see it, like you'll see the Cratchits, for instance, celebrating, having a good time, despite the way Scrooge treats them. And he even, Bob Cratchit insists on giving Scrooge a toast. Because he sees, the bigger picture with Scrooge, I think. And he knows he's by himself. He knows this and this. So this is why he wants a toast. And the wife says, "Go fuck yourself. We're not doing that." But they crack open the Guinness.
That wee guy who plays Bob Cratchit, he's another brilliant British character actor. He's in an anthology portmanteau sort of horror film similar to Dead of Night. Well, not that similar, but sort of that ilk, called The Halfway House from the 1940s. I mean, this is chock full of classic sort of British actors.
Yeah. Well, back to the scene we were talking about. We'll get to Mr. IMBD here in a moment, folks. Yeah, but I like the fact that Bob Cratchit holds his own, and he pretty much has everyone, Tiny Tim, the whole gang, pretty much, give a toast to Scrooge.
Yes.
And that's kind of it's almost the straw that broke the camel's back, where he starts to turn a bit. Actually, quite a bit. But the big one is things of yet to come, or we know him as the ghost of future.
Yes.
Shows up. And Tiny Tim is dead.
I like the way you laughed after that, you fucking evil bastard. Talk about Sith Lord, you fucking Sith Lord. Laughing there at the Emperor, Tiny Tim Dan.
That's right.
Bastard. Even I'm not that sick.
It's just the way I said it.
And I'm sick.
This is the way I said it. Tiny Tim's dead now.
Yeah.
Now, it's a nice scene where Cratchit, like we just saw him, is always full of life, no matter what you throw at him.
Yeah, he's a good-hearted, sort of kind-hearted chap.
And then there's this conversation between the daughters and the mother before Cratchit shows up, talking about how he's usually has, Tiny Tim on his shoulder, carrying him home, blah, 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 and has a, little beat in his step kind of thing, and happy. And when he comes back home, he's somber, he's quiet, and he kind of breaks down, missing his son, and rightfully so. It's a nice scene, the Bob Cratchit, he's very good in this. And so, like you said previously, he's done some other roles, kind of shows that he can handle, pretty good parts like this.
Yeah.
So, he goes to the other room. We see the Undertaker guy again.
Yes.
And this time they're at his grave. Ooh.
Yeah, well, they've also, you see, like, the housekeeper and all and stuff, they've all, like, basically, they've, after Scrooge has died, they've ripped his house to shreds and sold everything. Like, the curtains in that cool bed that you like, they've sold his gaming console and his big TV.
No wonder this fucker's pissed. They went after his PS5. Fucking his curtain bed thing.
Yeah.
There's got to be a name for those.
It's a 4-poster bed, just.
Yeah, with blinds. There's got to be a name for it, like something cool.
bed drapes. I
Bed
don't know.
drapes. That's boring. Yeah, so no one cares. He's dead. He goes nuts. Fuck this. I'm not dead, you piece of shit. And then the fucking Reaper guy's like, go fuck yourself, piece of shit. You're an asshole. This is what's going to happen to you if you don't fuck up. And sure enough,
He sorts of
he
shit
wakes
out.
up. What day is it? It's Christmas. Oh, I'm alive. And this is where he kind of loses it, but in a positive way. Gives his housekeeper a massive fucking raise. I wish I'd get that at work.
Yeah, yeah, and she can't sort of. She thinks something's up.
Yeah.
You know? There's a really weird scene on the stairs actually,
When he
where she thinks he's trying to take
Yeah,
advantage
she
of her.
screams. I hated that scene
Yes.
because the screaming really annoyed me.
Yeah, but it's awkward in that she thinks he's basically trying it on with her, and he's going to force himself on her.
I didn't get that.
Oh no, there
Is
is that 100% suggestion of that, but I mean it's played subtly.
No
but it just
offense.
seemed a bit.
The bitch took his gaming console and cooled bed. I mean, we just saw it, so I'd be upset about that. Not that I would condone Scrooge's actions if that did happen. I just want one of our fine listeners here at Citizen Frame to understand that.
Yes, I have to be honest. See, Scrooge, whenever he turns good, I find him a little irritating.
Yeah, a little overkill in the acting.
Yeah, I preferred him whenever he was a miserable bastard.
Well, now who's the sick fucker? I laugh at the dead boy. Oh, I'm an asshole. Well, that's okay.
He was a better character.
Yeah,
I felt it was a bit too.
His laughter got
it's overplayed.
Annoying.
Yeah.
George C. Scott did this better.
Yeah.
And again, that could be to direction. But he goes around and he fixes everything. He goes to a dance. He goes to his nephew's so he can dance, and he buys turkeys and chicken and shit and McDonald's for the kids.
KFC. He goes to the drive-thru.
Yeah, with his horse and buggy, whatever they have then. And Tiny Tim's like, oh my God, it's a miracle. He's like, oh, look, Tiny Tim, you're alive. And he gives his kid a beating for whatever reason.
Yeah, because it was Victorian times, you could just do that in a whim. But hold on a minute, I grew up in the 80s, you could fucking beat you in a whim if they wanted to.
So,
corporal punishment.
But it's a nice shot, actually, because he's going down this alleyway, and Tiny Tim runs after him because his leg's better now. And he holds his hand as he walks toward Bob Cratchit's house. It's a nice ending.
The final shots with the narration about how Scrooge becomes Tiny Tim's godfather, and he's basically his Uncle Ebenezer to him or whatever. I think that's lovely.
Yeah, I'm crying right now.
Yes.
Now,
I mean, this is classic. This is an all-time classic story, and I think this is just. I haven't seen every adaptation or every inspired adaptation of it, but this is a quintessential one, and I love how it's in black and white because it lends, with black and white in general anyway, it lends that certain sort of atmospheric haunting quality to it.
It's a solid adaptation. I like other ones out there. What worked for me is, I always bring it up, is the mat, and I love the mat mixed with practical. There's a beautiful shot when he takes him to his school, and they're sitting in the snow, and we see these horses coming right past him, a couple of horses and whatever in carriages. But you can tell it's a mat in the background of the school, but it's so gorgeously done, and it looks gorgeous in black and white. I
would say as well, I know I've already mentioned it at least twice. Superb cast, special mention to the brilliant George Cole as young Scrooge.
Yep, and the acting is pretty spot on. This one plays like a stage play. Actually, I think all the adaptations kind of play like a stage play.
I
besides Scrooge, and but I would have to say I'm a bigger fan of Finney's performance, George C. Scott's performance, and Bill Murray's. And the only reason I say that is probably because I was raised on those three films. They're my go-to. Not to take away from this one, I've seen this one maybe once or twice, so that's why I wanted to revisit this one for the podcast. But I do think some of the scenes ran a little long. It was an hour and a half, so I felt they lingered a bit. Now I know an hour and a half doesn't seem like long, but sometimes it can get tiresome. Especially when he, like you mentioned, when he gets up and he's jumping around and he's fucking heckling like the Joker. and
Yeah.
it gets a little too much. But at the end of the day, its heart's in the right place, so it's pretty solid.
Yeah. Well, after it not being in the right place. Yeah. Do you want me to tell you about the first version of Scrooge I saw? The first adaptation.
Oh God!
As a
Don't
kid?
no.
You know
No.
the way.
If it starts with it's an episode of Doctor Who, I'm beating the shit out of you.
No. I'll comment to that. Give me time. No. The first, believe it or not, whenever I was a small kid, and you know the way I hate Disney. I think this is actually one of the reasons I fucking hate Disney. It's because my sisters had a couple of Disney videotapes, Disney's Christmas carols, and Disney's A Christmas Carol and Disney's Sing Along Christmas Songs. So the first version, the screen version of A Christmas Carol Scrooge that I watched by default, by proxy, was basically Mickey's Christmas Carol. And it was because my sisters, on the lead up to Christmas and right through Christmas, they watched it continuously, along with this other Disney sing-along Christmas songs crap. And they had it constantly on, and they sang along with it and knew every word. And by default and proxy, I knew it off by heart. I think it's one of the reasons I hate Disney. Just to be a Scrooge.
You like it. Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, yes, that's it. Yeah, Donald Duck is Scrooge in it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Now, about 12 years ago, there was, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there was actually a Doctor Who version of it. I'm being serious.
So anyways, it's after 30 minutes here, so we're going to end this one. But
Michael Gambon's in it, and there's flying alien sharks in it too. I'm not lying.
Oh my God! You need to just.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Listen, guys, this has been a really solid year for us. Our numbers, like I mentioned in the last few podcasts, have really gone up, especially in the U.S. And I mentioned it once before, but I'll certainly mention it again. A massive shout out to our new listeners in California, Texas, but massive shout out to Tennessee and Virginia, who have, I guess, have no taste. I'm just kidding.
Thanks so much, guys. You're all legends. We really appreciate your support. And Happy New Year.
Yep. I guess I don't have to say that part now anymore. Thanks, Trevor. But
no, you can still say it from you.
But seriously, folks, we do appreciate the support, and I always say it's longevity. And as we keep doing this, little guy, I think people just lock on to see what we're all about, and it seems to be sticking. So bear with us as we make some changes coming up in the new year. It's going to be a fun one. We also do want to do a massive shout out to Allie Weir. She has been a long-time listener.
Yes.
And also she's a contributor, I believe, to Phantasmagoria magazine.
That's correct. Co-editor as well.
And she wrote a poem and recorded a poem based on our Christmas with the Cranks podcast. At least something good came from the Christmas with the Cranks podcast.
Yeah. It's more creative and better than the film itself.
Yeah, no kidding. It's good fun. We do appreciate you going the extra mile for us, and thank you for that. Listen, guys, all of our new listeners, everybody, we're going to take a little time off. We might have a little treat in January because I know you'll miss me. We have pre-recorded one, so we'll pop it in there in January. But we need to take a little breather, revamp, change gears, and but rest assured, we will certainly be back. If you guys have anything you want us to listen to, maybe some suggestions, especially to you new listeners out there in the States. If you have something that you would like to go, hey, can you guys do this? Or maybe you should try this. Give us a shout. We're not going to be insulted. Constructive criticism, good and bad, is always the way to embrace and grow. All right, you can reach us at CitizenFrame_podcast and, of course, Facebook. We also have a CitizenFrame at Outlook.com. If you want to email us, feel free to do that as well. You guys have an awesome new year, and we wish you the best of the happy holidays, what's left of it. Trevor, thank you for everything as usual.
My pleasure, Ciaran. Thank you.
I know, you're welcome. I am a gift. And that's a wrap. Take care of yourselves. All the best.